Hey, guess who? I'm here again. Yeah. Picture this. You wake up one morning with superhuman strength. How would it change your life? How could you build, break, or lift? Today, we dive into what if you had the strength of a superhero. This right here, guys, don't hit the snooze button. This is Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. Welcome to Mornings in the Lab, where
when something negative comes up.
Building muscle and pool, blood flow.
Nobody is expecting John.
If the lady's saying that, you're just
Being like a super
be entertained by fun over here.
How have I slept? Has my sleep been good? That
There's that familiar sign, nation. There's a sound. Yes, here it is. Guess what? I'm Keith Bilous, and you've turned into the only live morning show that helps you get your ass out of bed. Don't hit the snooze button. You'll be 9 minutes behind, because today is the big one, the big, big, big one. What if you had the strength of a superhero? Yes, what if? We're also going to be chatting with Donnie Raimon about his morning routine, his story as a Navy SEAL, and digging into what it means to live life as a business athlete. Hey, heads up, nation. We are an R-rated experience, and we aren't shy about dropping F-bombs. Nope. No, so if kids are around, you better put the headphones in. Yep, put those head plugs in, or else you're going to be paying those fines, those swearing fines. Hey, listen, we're here every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time, and you know what? If you know somebody who likes the status quo, make sure to subscribe, share, and say what's up in the comments, nation. Let us know how you're going here this morning at Mornings in the Lab. And listen, before we jump into it, let's get going here with everybody on the show here this morning, nation. Who we got? Jimmy. We got Richie Rich in the black on black with the black tape. We got Marty in the black on black with the red headset. We got Johnny in the black on black. And I know Johnny's itching to say something to Marty. And of course, I got myself in the black on black with the gold glasses on.
But Johnny, actually, hold on here. The fact that, see, I misunderstood. I thought Marty wasn't here. See, I got no issues with.
He was in the green room. Yeah.
Well, I saw just the blank. I didn't know it was here. See, if it wasn't here, that would be different. But now the fact that he's here, well, hold on, let me just finish up, because the fact that you're here, there's nowhere to go. And I give your props, brother. Fucking A, I'm giving you love right now. You know, we can all have a minute here and there, because, you know, when it comes down to it, showing up is what's on the docket. You know, shit happens in life, but do you make it? So I'm giving you your props, brother. I was only going to let you have it if you weren't here, because yesterday you said, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, well, look, man. This is what I'm going to say.
Marty, bump your audio, buddy. Bump your audio.
Oh, sorry. Oh, shit. Give me a second.
We got good time. Good morning, good time with Marty's figure. Marty's a rookie. Marty's busy running Gold's Gym, Richie. So Marty's like, I got this too busy shit going on here. So good morning, good time. Good morning, Dugan. I see you over there as well. We're preparing for Marty's response.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're a little better.
Oh,
nope.
Yeah. No. So I'm here at 7:40 every day.
Yes, I know you are. Now we lost you. Now we lost your camera. Your camera's gone, pal. You're now the ghost of Marty on the camera there. Let's brunch.
I can see him in here. I got everything.
No, I think you're messing up, Keith. You messing up. Keith, you messing up.
I think your audio might be off, Marty. I think you're on the wrong audio. Are you on the computer audio or your this audio here?
No, I'm on my mic. Are you good? Right. I'm good.
All right. Yeah. Richie Rich with the tape across the nose. So boys, let's allow Richie to explain why he's showing up with tape on the nose today.
Well, man, it's all about performance. I have a deviated septum, and I'm trying anything I can to breathe better. I'm trying to focus when I run on solely breathing out of my nose.
Yeah,
that is difficult shit, brother. That is difficult shit.
Oh no, here we go. I'm back now. I
knew it. Uncle Keith has some good ears here, brother. Good morning, Lauren. Good morning, baby. Good to see you there. She off crushing on the bike this morning.
Well, real quick, not to get back. I'm just saying I'm here 20 minutes early every day, Johnny. That's all I was trying to say. Sorry.
Well, bro, yeah, you hurt yourself with that one, because now you're just showing that you're an inefficient creature of time. What are you doing with 20 fucking minutes sitting here with your thumb up your butt, brother? You should be getting here.
No. I'm up. Hold on. No, I'm up at 3. I'm up at 3. I go to the gym. I train 10 to 15 clients. I come here. I gotta eat.
The youngsters
I gotta eat.
coming, baby. I love it. The youngsters coming.
Hold on. Let me finish. Hold on. I gotta eat because I gotta shoot the goals right after this. So we moving. It's never a thumb up my ass. You know?
Oh man! Speaking of thumbs up the ass. Good morning, nation. Good morning, everybody here today. I hope you guys are having a great middle of the midweek loop here. Listen, if you're first time listener to the show, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like the channel, tell everybody about it. I see you, Camilla, here in the comments. You're hanging with myself. I'm Keith Bilous. That's Richie, Rich there in the middle with the black tape across his nose, who's there breathing for performance. And yeah, good times talking pocket meat. We talked pocket meat yesterday with John Anderson. For those of you who might be curious, if you're looking for your protein fix, Richie, what do we do? What do we do, Richie? What's the hack?
Well, according to John, you pull out that big thing that looks like diarrhea and just squeeze it in your mouth.
The diarrhea wouldn't actually that wouldn't come out of the bag and get into your mouth. That'd go out of the bag, get on your hand.
I don't know, man. I like the almond hack though. So just so everybody understands, I mean that video prompt was an offspring of a burger in a bag. That's the one I'm big on. Right? So I went a step further with the ground meat in a bag. Gave it a squeeze. That video has gone viral for me 3 times.
Whoa, there you go. I might have to make one of those viral.
Robbie,
Robbie, yeah.
I'm talking north of 3 million views.
Look who popped up in my feed.
What's that, Richie? Say that again.
Robbie sent me that video. He was like, "Hey, check out who popped up in my feed." So and he's over in Italy. So
that's right. Anderson's habits get around the world, man. That's why. Hey, listen, and what a good segue, because we're here talking
3
about
times.
We're here.
Not one, not 2, 3 times.
Yeah, we're here to talk about today that he had the strength of a superhero, and we got a couple guys on the show today that might have strengths of superheroes, including myself to that list. All joking aside, but listen, let's play this out for a second about what having superhuman strength would actually mean. Now let's talk about this, guys. We're talking about being able to lift cars. Johnny, could you lift a car back in your strength days? Like even just off the top, could you? A serious question. Could you lift the front end of a car?
Well, it depends on the car. I mean, realistic. You're not going up to a fucking 1967 fucking Cadillac picking up the front of that motherfucker. Like perfect example. Back in the day when my peak strength times, and my buddies and I sometimes would be, we'd have fun with going into a parking lot, picking up the asset of small cars and setting off alarms.
That's
because the car thinks it's
and move them sideways to block their street and run.
Hey Marty, you want to? So there's a story. Hey Marty, hey Rich, you want to go move some cars? I'm gonna go to the parking lot, lift up some cars, just move them around the parking lot. There's a bunch of big guys just lifting up cars and just moving around the parking lot. Hey, just lifting them up and moving them around.
Let's go.
But when it comes down to it, anybody that's north of an 800-pound deadlifter has that capability on a smaller vehicle.
Yeah, I guess.
And then we would actually flip cars over in competition, but most of the time it was gutted. They'd taken out the motor because it would be too heavy on one side, and you go to flip it, and it wouldn't flip very easily. You need it to flip a little bit more. I don't know what you call balanced, if you will, if there's such a thing as flipping a car balanced.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going with this. So listen, today we're talking about what if you had the strength of a superhero, and we're talking about being able to lift cars like Johnny Anderson does, moving mountains. So I'm sure when Richie was in the note today, they're just moving mountains all over the place, right? Or breaking through obstacles, literally. Now listen, being a superhero is not just physical. We know it starts with a mindset. That the amount of strength changes how we see our challenges, giving you the power to overcome anything in your way, both in business and in life. And guys, I gotta ask you guys, let's just really kind of quickly lean into this before we bring in some of our guests here. But what do you think of when I say you could be even stronger than you are now if it starts with your mindset? Richie, looking at you first, brother. Lean into that. To be a superhero starts in the mind, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, you have to believe in yourself. And so once you start believing, that's when the magic can happen, and that's where opportunities open up, and you follow your path, man.
That is so on the money right there. So on the money. If you don't believe, you will not achieve. It's just that fucking simple.
It is that simple. And Marty, I know you and I are fans of superhero books. You and I have talked often about one of the greatest franchises in history, the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight franchise, Batman. Talk about having the strength of a superhero. Could you imagine waking up one day with the strength of a superhero, like being like Spider-Man or like Batman? And do you ever kind of get into like child mode? Now, being serious here, child mode, going, fuck, that'd be pretty cool to have superpowers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just to piggyback on the first question too, all of them have a story that made him the superhero. So Batman wouldn't be Batman if his parents didn't get killed, you know.
Yeah.
Spider-Man wouldn't be Spider-Man if he wasn't like the nerd and wasn't cool in school. So all of them have like a story. So I definitely
boy, that is an amazing point, brother, because when it comes down to it, you know, someone excuse me, who goes on a journey for that superhuman strength, call it what you will, there's some fucking driver in there.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly. It makes you wonder, guys. It makes you wonder, do you have to have tragedy before you can become a superhero? Right, like you just mentioned those stories, Marty. Like, you know, Bruce Wayne had to have his parents die, right? Peter Parker had to have his uncle die. Like, it's like you have to take something away from. It's like, I hate to say it, Johnny, but it's like taking Terry away, or taking Lauren away, or Marty taking mom or dad away, or Richie taking the kids away for you to kind of have to look in the mirror to kind of conjure up this superhero strength. That's what's scary about it, isn't it? When you think about that.
Well, it comes down to one word: why.
Oh yeah.
Why are you gonna fucking put yourself through all of what it takes to get there? Or if you woke up one day and you had this shit, obviously in an imaginary sense, why are you gonna put yourself in all that risk using this superpowers to, you know, obviously save the planet or save humanity or whatever the purpose of that superhero is for? So the why is attached to this shit, whether it's real or if it's in a comic book.
Well, you know, in many ways, Johnny, Marty, I got to look at our friend Richie here, who I believe is a real life superhero. The guy, you know, enlists to, you know, protect his country, goes across the pond, goes into war, comes back, loses his arm, and now lives a life of possibility and belief. Right. So that in itself, to me, is a superhero. That's Richie here on the show. And I know, Richie, you take it for granted because it's your life. But me looking at you, I'm like, that dude's a superhero, man, because you have to enter a room, enter a situation, always thinking about how to overcome something. Right, Johnny, Marty?
You know, I got to jump because in real life now, obviously, because we want to make this applicable.
Yes.
You know, part of that is a person that wants to become superhuman in any regard, you know, extraordinary, let's call it, right? They have to be surrounded with people that are going to hold them accountable. We had a perfect example yesterday morning and this morning. Marty and I, we've been jabbing at each other over minutes, you know, and that's right there. If you don't give a shit about your clan, you just let them fuck up and let them drift away. When you want your clan to stay tight, you fucking let them know you're there, and you let them know that, hey, I'm here. Where the fuck are you? And vice versa, you know. So when people see Marty and I jabbing each other, they misunderstand that this is like the foundation of high performance.
That's right. And we do it with love, nation. We do it with love. And we're going to do this right now. We're going to kick the guys off stage for a couple minutes, 90 seconds or so. Donnie Raimon, you're coming up, my friend. Johnny's got to go for a break. Richie's got to go fix his nose tape. Marty's got to think of his response to Johnny. And then we're going to come back with Donnie Raimon. And then, Richie, you're going to ask the big question of Donnie. You know the question, Richie. You know. All right. Listen, today we're talking superhero strength. Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. But here's what the real question becomes, nation. What does strength mean to you? And how can you build it? The reality is we're all just not waking up with superhero strength. No way, baby. Unless you're Richie Rich. But that doesn't mean we can't work towards being the strongest versions of ourselves, baby. No way. So today, humor me and think through this. What's one habit you can work on today? What's one habit you can build your own version of superhero strength? Is it hitting the gym consistently? Is it rolling over and not hitting the snooze button? Maybe it's inviting yourself to take a nap today. Yeah, I said it, take a nap to build that mental toughness. You don't think Richie and Johnny and Marty and myself all just keep going nonstop? Damn no. Selectively grabbing sleep, selectively grabbing naps to build that mental toughness. So listen, whatever it is, just remember, real strength comes from consistency. It's the small daily actions that build upon habits over time. So share it in the comments. What's one thing you're doing today to build your superhero power, nation? What is it? Building strength's a journey, not a destination, baby. No, it's your accountability check-in for today. Let's keep rocking on the only morning show that helps you guys get your day started. 8 o'clock Eastern time. Come hang out with us. If you need a free accountability partner, yeah, you come hang out with us here in the morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, like Good Time does, like Jack Dugan does, like Lauren does, like Camille does. You come hang out with us, get yourself moving, get some motivating content to get your day underway. All right, Jimmy, before you bring up Donnie, Jimmy, let me do this here. Bring up the boys here, Jimmy. And I'm going to get my gamma ready here for our good friend Donnie Raimon joining us here in a quick minute.
You said Donnie Raimon?
I did.
You talking about this Donnie Raimon?
You know Donnie? Yes, that is Donnie Raimon. Do you know Donnie Raimon?
Come on, man. I come on, man. He probably doesn't remember me though.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So listen, we might have a little bit of a reunion happening here on the show here this morning. So Jimmy, let's bring this up here. So we got a guy from Navy SEAL to fitness, revolutionizing Donnie Raimon's journey here this morning. Donnie is a former Navy SEAL, transforming his military experience into groundbreaking fitness innovations, impacting athletes at all levels, and even helping some guy, Richie, Marty, Johnny, some guy named LeBron James. He's got some military career highlights as a Navy SEAL Team 3, Fast Attack Vehicle Platoon, Navy Special Warfare Center. Turning point, he went from injury to innovation. He had a neck injury. It's biomechanics focus, Navy recognition, and he stepped out into revolutionizing fitness. And Donnie, his big case study was with LeBron James. He had a problem. LeBron had some back issues. What did Donnie do? Donnie fixed it. Donnie, Navy parachute team success, 30 years of history, 10,000 jumps. Holy smokeronies. And beyond physical training, Donnie deals with mental toughness, goal-setting excellence. And here's the Donnie Raimon legacy from innovator, mentor to game changer. Let's connect. Let's welcome Donnie Raimon to the stage. Boom. What's up, Donnie?
Good morning.
How are you today?
Doing pretty good.
Good to have you here. You got Richie, you got Marty, you got Johnny. And I know, so we have one question we ask everybody the first time they show up on the show for center stage. Hey, Richie, do you want to have the honor of asking the question?
I would love the honor. I've been waiting on it.
You do it.
Donnie, what is your morning routine?
Morning routine? It's not that exciting, actually. My favorite part of the morning is getting up before the sunrise and having my coffee.
Yes.
By myself in the darkness. And that's it, honestly. So
I love that. What's
exciting?
What time does that start, Donnie? What time does your morning start?
Anywhere between 4:45 and 5:30.
Yeah, and you just enjoy the silence of the morning. You wake up before everybody else, you grab your coffee, and you get your day started slowly, mentally.
Yeah, I've been doing that for years. And I know you guys will love this story. So when I was in Afghanistan, we were only supposed to be there on a certain target for 9 days, and it ended up being almost 2 weeks. And we ran out of coffee. I called back to headquarters and had a helicopter drop me off some coffee.
So here's what I'm gonna do, Jimmy. I'm gonna do my best to get out of the way for these next two segments, and I really want Richie and Johnny and Marty to take this over because I can see Richie leaning in here. Johnny, Marty, you guys lean into this. Marty's got a picture of you. I think there's somewhere you guys might have a connection here. So Uncle Keith's gonna just kind of Jimmy fade me off the background, and Richie, Johnny, Marty, you guys take over with Donnie Raimon here. Let's go.
I guess I'll start it off because
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rich.
No, I was gonna say I wanted you to start it off. I want to know what the background of that picture is.
Yeah, me too, Marty. What's up with that
picture?
picture?
Yeah, I don't know if Donnie saw the picture, but I was just going to start with because I got Donnie's certification. So me and Donnie took that picture in 2021. He probably doesn't remember me, but because he's probably helped a lot of people. But I was just going to ask, with me knowing about DBC, just give a little background about that. And how you got started with David Alexander and some of the athletes you helped and everything. So inform everyone about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just clear. I'm not with DBC anymore.
Oh yeah, not anymore. Oh, I'm apologize about that, man.
No, it's okay. I got involved with David Alexander was a client of mine. So that's how we met. And his when he wanted to open a gym, he remembered. Because he did jujitsu, he remembered that I fixed his neck. So when he opened a gym, he wanted to bring me in to basically be associated with them, teach a certification course and stuff like that. And then he could refer athletes to me that came in with problems.
Got you, man. Got you. And sorry about that. My bad. I wasn't aware.
No, let's do that. Let's keep going.
It's not a bad thing. I'm just letting people know because not a lot of people realize that.
Yeah. So how did you guys meet then, Johnny? So you signed. I'm sorry, Marty. You signed up for a class Donnie was teaching, or how did you guys end up getting connected?
Yeah. So they were they have a certification, the DBC certification. I did level 1 and 2, and so that was in Miami. So I was living in Cali at the time, so I flew to Miami. Did the certification, learned a lot, and they honestly, some of the stuff they taught me is part of the reason I'm coming up on year 8 in my training game, because I learned so much from them. A lot about injury prevention, biomechanics, just how the body works, and how working on certain form, how it can prevent injuries. So they gave me a lot of knowledge. So I got nothing but respect for Donnie. This is actually, I didn't even realize that we were talking to Donnie.
Cool.
I would have told you that. Yep.
This is really cool. So in the hierarchy of the military, Richie, when you look at Donnie comes from Navy. So forgive my ignorance, but in the hierarchy of the military, Richie, you heard Donnie's coming on Navy SEALs, SEAL Team 3, I think it is. How does all that work, Richie? When you hear that, where does all it work in the hierarchy?
For me, it doesn't. I was in the Army, so I mean, Navy guys, I just kind of, I don't know. But look, man, whenever you hear SEAL or special operations, you automatically have some respect, because the guys have been through. You have a certain level of expectation. They've been through a certain amount of training. So there's this expectation that you're dealing with a professional, right? And that's what I really respect about doing any kind of work with special operations. And funny story, Donnie, when I was in Afghanistan, some of the infantry guys ran out of chewing tobacco. And all of a sudden, these 2 Blackhawks come down, and it was a striker unit there. I think it was 2nd ID out of Fort Lewis. And they dropped 3 logs of Copenhagen down on top of these strikers. Battalion commander sent them in. So funny. When were you in Afghanistan?
2001.
Okay, so you were, I mean, that was it when y'all were chasing bin Laden, right?
Yes. Yep. That's all we were doing.
Yeah. So were you doing work with the I guess the Delta and CAG guys back then?
No, we were those guys were, they're a little bit more on the secret side. So they were doing their undercover stuff. So they were living out in town, trying to infiltrate the lords and the warlords and stuff like that. So they were trying to find him like secret squirrel CIA kind of stuff. So they were wearing civilian clothes. That's what started the whole beard thing. And we were actually doing the strikes where if a lot of times the CIA guys that were there would hit us up on the radio and said, "Hey, we got a ping on bin Laden's cell phone, but he's in a convoy. Like, we need immediate launch, and just go get him." And that's the kind of stuff we did. And then we did a lot of cave clearing and all the terrorist camp stuff like that.
Dude, that's crazy.
What I'd love to talk about. I'd love to have you talk about. Excuse me, brother. Is everybody understands? They hear SEAL, they hear all this. This. Top-notch training terminology. And most people, they hear the stories about how difficult physically it is. But I don't think that the general public understand the connection between the physical and the mental side of that. You couldn't go through it physically without the mental side of that. So share a little bit about some of the stuff some of the challenges that they put you through mentally so you could endure what you needed to physically.
Great question, Johnny.
Yeah, technically it's all mental. I didn't think it was physically that difficult. When you're in the cold water a lot, which everything's designed to mess with your mind. So you don't get a watch when you're in training. They don't want you to know what time it is or how long, because as you go through, it's 6 months of training as the screening, but you don't catch on to patterns until later. But it's all pretty mental. The cold water. You're in the cold water in the middle of the night in the ocean. You're freezing. they call it surf torture, and they always make it seem like it was a punishment. But they have a graph, and I hope future students don't hear this. They know the water temperature, the air temperature, and the exposure you're getting. But they give you these surf torture sessions. Actually, in when you become an instructor, it's surf conditioning. They're actually progressively adapting you to the cold water. So when you go to Hell Week, it's not a shock. They're giving you a fair shot at it. But they don't tell you that. They'll just, I had 176 guys start my class, and what they'll do is they'll just pick out a random person and say that he screwed up. Oh, sorry, I can say fucked up here. They'll say that he fucked up. And then they'll just hammer everybody, and then they go, all right, we're going to do surf torture. But it's very carefully planned. So, and you don't know that at the time. So you start thinking of those things. But I never
describe a scenario like if you be detailed, like a certain scenario, circumstance where people were just not mentally able to handle it and they were falling off. I think, of course, in the movies we still go ring the bell, or I don't know if that's true or not, but to describe a scenario where people are, quote, ringing the bell.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Ringing the bell. So
is it okay?
On the first night of Hell Week, like I said, we had 176 guys start Hell Week. And we were doing, they call it laundry. So you have to get examined, and you start catching on to these things. You have to get examined by the doctor 4 times a day. So one night, it's like 3 a.m. The air is actually colder than the water. So in San Diego, it was at that time of the year. So we had to do laundry. So what you do is you approach, we were on a pier, and everybody's in line, joined arms. And they have you jump in the ocean, you take off your boots, you come back out, your boots out on your spot, you go back in the water, take off your socks, come back. So you undress, and then when you're naked, they line you all up, and then the doctor comes and inspects you for if you got any open blisters or any infections or anything like that. And then they do it in reverse. So it's pretty gnarly. Like, that was the coldest I've ever been in my life. And I thought towards the end of it, I actually felt sick inside. Like, I can't go back in the water. I'm going to die. Like, I had that sickly feeling come over me. So, but we were done. So they said, oh, then they're on the bullhorn. They're like, all right, line up. So I was like, oh shit, lock arms. And they said, prepare to enter the water. So that's how it was, like, prepare to enter the water, and then you jump in. So right there, I'm thinking, all right, I'm just going to go because, their medics are here, the doctor's here. So they prepare to enter the water, and they didn't say anything. 80 guys turned around and walked away. They didn't want to.
Oh, shit.
Whoa.
Right. Literally, and you didn't have to go into the water. They just knew that was a breaking point. That's insane. And so literally, so real quick, just so I'm understanding, they put you guys in a position where you're truly like thinking you might die.
Yeah, I actually did. That was the coldest I've ever been. And I got that, I felt that sickness, like, just in my chest. Like, there's no way I can go back in that water. The kicker was,
sorry, go ahead, please.
Walked away on the bullhorn. It said about face, and then we had to run to eat. So they had no intention of putting us back in the water.
Crazy, wow. For those that from my own experience, I've never been in a situation like that, so I'm not trying to compare my training to that. But I can say that there's been plenty of settings where I'm being trained, per se. A coach is telling me what to do, and it is so much more difficult to put yourself into those really, really uncomfortable spots when someone is telling you versus when you're deciding. So, I can only imagine, with that element of just, what you guys must have felt like. And the fact that literally they got you guys psychologically where half the group quit just because of that last command. It shows it just shows how deep they had you guys mentally. That's pretty crazy. What an amazing story, brother.
Wow. You're hanging out with Keith, John, Marty, Richie, Rich, Ingram, and our friend Donnie Raimon here joining us from one of the Navy SEALs. Donnie, we're going to come back. We're going to take a quick little break here. We're going to keep your story, your journey. We're going to start from Navy SEALs corporate over to LeBron's story, and we're going to come back in about 90 seconds. But right now, we got Marty jumping in with the See Marty Fit Tip. Marty, you get after it. Richie going to take a break. Johnny's going to take a break. Donnie, we're back in about 60 seconds to keep going with you. Okay, brother? Let's do it. Marty, keep going, brother.
All right. We got the fitness tip for today. we're going to talk about supersets. If you don't know what a superset is, that's basically doing 2 back-to-back exercises, okay? Now, depending on what your goal is, this is a fantastic way to elevate your workout, the efficiency of your workout, and the intensity of your workout, right? But you got to do it correctly. So a lot of people will tell you to pair complementary muscle groups, and that is true. But if you're doing a full body workout, or sometimes your goal might be fat loss, you can switch it up. You can do different muscle groups, all right? You want to prioritize form over speed, like we always talk about. You don't want to get hurt, and you don't just want to rush through the workout. You actually want to target the muscle and activate that mind-muscle connection. And you also want to adapt to your goal. Like I said earlier, if your goal is fat loss, if your goal is muscle building, you're going to do different rep ranges, right? So moderate weights, 8 to 12 reps for muscle growth, and for fat loss, you might want to up it a little bit, but still do a challenging weight. What you don't want to do on a superset, you don't want to skip your rest entirely. You want to give yourself enough time to recover so you can keep that great form. You don't want to forget your progressive overload. You do want to increase the weight and challenge yourself, and you don't want to overload similar muscle groups. That way you break down, mess up your form, and mess up the whole workout. We don't want that, right? So supersets are powerful, but remember, more isn't always better. Balance the intensity with recovery to get stronger. Stay consistent. That's the fitness tip for today.
Supersets to build a superhero strength. If you want to become a superhero, we're here today. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. What if you had superhero strength? We're hanging out with our friend Donnie Raimon, former Navy SEAL, hanging out with us this morning. He has gone from a world of Navy SEALs to corporate life to coaching life, and he's a fellow. Donnie, let's pull it up here, my friend. You've worked with LeBron James, and you've worked with other elite athletes. There's a Hanger Nation. This guy's worked with one of the greatest athletes in the world. Can you share some of the unique challenges and approaches that you have used to go into training these high-profile clients when they're already at the top of their game mentally and physically? And I love this because I look at a guy like Richie, I look at a guy like Johnny, I look at a guy like Marty. They're all at the top of their game. Like, Richie's been at the top of the world. Johnny's been at the top of the world. Marty's done some exceptional things. I just kind of tremble around, catch them when they fall. Donnie, talk about what it's like to work with these elite athletes and some of the unique challenges that they have and how you approach it. Donnie.
I think I had the benefit of being in the SEAL teams where you're around people that can do insanely amazing things. Before the military, I was reading a lot of books about SEALs in Vietnam. And then when I got into the SEAL teams, guys were there that I just read in the book. So you get used to hanging around people like that. So when I started meeting some of these elite athletes, I wasn't, very impressed, if you will, or starstruck. So I was just myself. And then they already knew the SEAL thing, which is very attractive to them, right? So it makes a good fit. And I'm not afraid to tell them like look, here we're gonna do things. And a lot of times, these older athletes, when they get around trainers, they've been working out since they were in high school with strength coaches, doctors, physical therapists. They know what works for them. So you kind of have to prove stuff to them. But for me, it's my way or the highway. So when you speak to them like that, they respect it. You have to have confidence in the way you're going to do things. You have to be right, and that's the thing in the SEAL teams. Like, if you're going to be the jump master, and you're going to put 20 guys out of an airplane with, gas and bombs and explosives off, and they're going to do a free fall at night into the water, and you're the guy who has to check all their gear, make sure it's right. Like, that's a lot of pressure. So you can't make mistakes. And I approach the same thing with my athletes. Like, I make sure I don't make mistakes. I'm sure of what I'm about to do is what they need.
Richie.
Just leaning in and learning, man.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. I think one of the biggest things too is establishing trust. Because it's similar to going into a boardroom in a corporation, right? When you're dealing with C-suite people, they've been around the block and they can read through bullshit pretty fucking quick. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to establish that trust. And so I think if they, their first thing is like, hey, they already know everything, right? They have these people, they already have their in crowd. So I think establishing that trust and then going from there, you get more buy-in from them and you're able to do more. I think it's very similar.
Yeah. And you know, Donnie, what's fascinating to me, Donnie, you said something that is really striking because we talked about it yesterday with Adam as well, which is making a decision. Business people, entrepreneurs often struggle to make a decision. And as a result, they don't make one because we don't want to be wrong. Now, you just said, if I'm sending 20 guys out of a helicopter with bombs and explosives and fire and all this stuff, or I'm working with LeBron, or I'm working with these elite athletes, Johnny, Richie, Marty, I need to give them the right information. I got to be right. How do you reconcile when you might not be as a leader, or when you're 99% sure, or you're almost 100%? Like, let's talk about that, Donnie, because there's some guys that are just not making decisions because they're scared to be wrong, Donnie.
So you have to be confident in what you did. So people always ask me how I learned what I learned. Is being in the military, you spend a lot of time in airplanes, 24 hours flight over here, 48 hours round trip. So I've read over 600 books, and I have about 2,000 research papers on my laptop. So when you read those books and you now have the research papers, and I'm talking about research papers that the average person can't get.
Right.
So I've been fortunate enough to have access to those $12 million university library data that most people don't have. When you read the same thing over and over you read 2 textbooks and 10 research papers on this particular subject, and it's there, and then you've been doing it on your clients and it works, that's kind of where the confidence comes in.
Yeah, it's getting the reps in, isn't it, Donnie? I love you said that because it's getting the reps in, right? What Richie talks about going to the military, Johnny talks about it in his entire career of strength and bodybuilding and wrestling, and Marty, but it is as simple as getting the reps in and then building the confidence, right, Donnie? And then gambling on that.
Yeah.
I think when you kind of
military, it's like.
Sorry, go ahead, Donnie.
Well, as I was saying in the military, don't do it until you get it right. Do it until you can't get it wrong. So whenever you see these guys that are, in the SEAL teams, we had a lot of Vietnam veterans that came in. They're teaching us how to do, booby traps and improvised explosives. And we'd always say, oh, they forgot more about this than we're going to learn, because you start losing some of the basics and you're just dealing with that. So you're learning from people who just been doing it for 30 years. They've done it not just in academia, they've done it in person. So it's helpful to find people like that as well. But yeah, it's getting the reps in for sure.
When you develop when you go through something, you develop call it your own version, your system. Obviously you learn systems, you learn through habit creating. And once you've done something and you've taken that system and you've applied it to more than one thing, it's pretty clear that it works. And when you can take something, especially if it's organically developed, I mean, when we say organic, of course, it's, we have influence, and we take all the influence, we create something that works for us, and we've applied it to multiple things. It becomes very trustable for others to want to either have you lead them or learn your system.
Yeah. Hey, Donnie, you are you're a fan of, you're an expert in biomechanics. Tell us about your focus on biomechanics, and for our audience members out there who are just learning about it, what does it mean, and how can someone listening right now improve their physical strength and resilience using the power of biomechanics? Donnie Raimon.
Well, nobody's an expert in biomechanics, first of all, so yeah, it's almost impossible. But it's really the real biomechanics. So a lot of people learn introductory biomechanics, but what you're getting is not really it's introductory into giving you something about the field. But what real biomechanics is to be a real biomechanist, you have to be a mechanical engineer. And if you go to a lot of these famous medical schools like Johns Hopkins, they'll tell you straight up that you have to go through mechanical engineering school. And for me, the beauty of that was when I was a computer science major in college before I went to SEAL teams. When I went into the SEAL teams, they put me in the engineering department. So I worked with some PhD mechanical engineers for 15 years working on these fast attack vehicles that I was part of for 13 years. doing research and development, doing the studies, doing the tactical advising. So you're just really applying these mechanical engineering concepts to the human body. But unfortunately, the human body is way more complicated.
Now, Richie, you've been to Johns Hopkins. You're hearing Donnie talk about biomechanics and so forth. And when you hear Donnie talk about the power and the ability of biomechanics, what do you think of, Richie?
So one, I've never been to Johns Hopkins, so
I thought that's where you recovered.
No. Walter Reed is where I recovered. But the first thing that I think of with biomechanics,
which is even better, by the way.
Say again.
Well, so I said, which is even better. There's no Walter Reed it's the elite of hospitals.
Yeah, I mean, I had a wonderful experience, but when I first think about it, one, obviously I'm missing an arm, so I think of prosthetics. But the next thing I think about is equilibrium. So for me, for example, being an endurance athlete, my ground contact time running is 4% different. So I'm at 52 on my right foot, 48 on my left foot, which means like I'm out of alignment, and I've been working on that for so long, and so like that is exactly what, like when I heard biomechanics, and I'm like, I got to hit this guy up, But I think of equilibrium and efficiency and movement. Am I wrong there?
No, that's part of it, but that's the basic part of it that most people focus on. So when you get into the higher levels, it's more concerned about the materials. So, that's a physics problem, what you're talking about, right? So when you get into mechanics of materials, which is a mechanical engineering course, you start thinking more like if you're looking at the cartilage in the knee, if there's, and you're talking about equilibrium, the four muscles of your quads that surround your patella, each one of them has to have the right balance, because if it doesn't, if they're not in, say, equilibrium, and it's tilting your patella, and now every time you bend your knee, it's rubbing on your femur, that's going to prematurely wear away the cartilage. It might also prevent you from bending your knee. So that's where mostly the higher levels of biomechanics focus on, is somebody comes to you, they've got a patella problem, he knows to fixing it. You realize, oh, okay, let me check the length tension of those muscles. Let me see how you bend your knee. Oh, yeah, your patella is rubbing on there. Let's balance those muscles so the patella stops rubbing, because it's not supposed to rub. So that's basically what we do at this level, which is why, some of the athletes, most of the people come to me with an injury that hasn't been solved. But biomechanics is also what you're talking about. So, but then you got to think, why is that? Is it your brain? Do you have a physical restriction? There's a lot of different things it could be. So,
yeah. Hey, you're hanging out with Donnie Raimon, Keith Bilous, Richie Rich Ingram, and John Anderson this morning with Mornings in the Lab, and of course our friend Christopher Martin, C Marty Fit. We're working towards wrapping up our segment with Donnie Raimon. Donnie, it's been awesome having you on the show today. Clearly, we could sit around the table for hours and learn about your experience with Navy SEALs, learn about your experience with all the books you read and all those research papers you've read. And dude, you started in computer science. Like, Johnny, Marty, Rich, this guy's got a little bit going on upstairs. You might know a few things. I'm thinking, and I'm sorry that I laughed, but when you said you were a computer science major, I'm like, holy shit, man. So you go from like a computer science major to like one of the elite ops in the military, training one of the elite athletes in the world. Like, gentlemen, Donnie might know what's going on. Like, that's awesome, man. I'm just lots of prop and respect. Donnie, how can humans find you? How can Business Athlete Nation connect with you? Where can they find you? And how can somebody, if they want to work with you, Donnie, where can they find you?
Yeah, usually it's word of mouth, but Instagram, Donnie Raimon, spelled funny, DONNIERAIMON. That's probably the best.
That's awesome. Will you come hang out with us for a longer period of time and sit down and maybe get into some longer stories with us?
Yeah, next time let's get happy hour, and then me and Rich can really let loose.
Oh yeah, we'll do an evening happy hour special. We'll bring the cigars, bring the drinks out there, and we can have some Blackhawks drop some snuff out of those logs there, Richie, and you guys can chew away and you guys can get after it. So, Donnie, thanks for hanging out with us today, brother, and thank you for your service,
Donnie.
friend.
Thank you, Donnie.
Well, thank you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, Donnie. All right, Donnie's going to get out of here. Richie and Marty are going to take a quick break. So am I. And Johnny's got a lifestyle tip. Then we're coming back to talk more inflammation with Jory Janzen. We talked inflammation on Monday. And I figured because Richie's here, I know Richie's got questions about inflammation too. So we're going to keep that conversation going. But Johnny, I know you got a lifestyle tip just itching to get out of here, brother. Let's bring it, pal.
Tip for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is upon us. And for many people, they are trying to either not destroy their progress or keep themselves from slipping deeper into bad habits. So let's talk about it. Here's the thing. We got to start off by remembering what is the purpose of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is about people. Thanksgiving is about giving thanks. Thanksgiving is not about stuffing our faces to the point where we cannot enjoy those that we love and all start fighting over who gets the couch. So make it simple. Focus on the people. Focus on the gratitude. Focus on the love and have a little food to enjoy the occasion. Don't lose track of what Thanksgiving is all about. Don't overeat, and you are going to be just fine. Rock and roll.
So don't overeat. You're going to be just fine. According to John Anderson, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to be just fine. Don't fight for the couch. Use moderation, eh, Johnny? Go with moderation, eh, pal?
Keeping it simple, man. You too many instructions on a situation like that. Nobody's going to download it. You know, hey, let's focus on the people we love. Let's focus on not overeating. You know, simple instructions are, in most cases, are going to be the most effective.
That's right. That's right. Of course, we have coming up right now our friend Jory Janzen joining us here.
Hey.
Do we have Jory? There she is. What's going on, Jory?
What's up, Jory?
Getting in here. Oh, good.
There you go. There you go. We got the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Jory Janzen, hanging out with us this morning. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. We're going to continue the chat on inflammation. And Jory, I wanted to keep the chat going on inflammation today because we got Richie Rich here. Richie missed the chat on Monday. And I'm going to kind of point the spotlight on Richie a little bit because he's all about endurance, all about eating often. And I'm thinking, Richie, that you probably battle inflammation during your physical fitness journey, and you probably wonder why. Am I wrong?
I don't necessarily wonder why. I know why, but I want to know how to fix it and reduce it.
Exactly. So let's get into it with Jory, Johnny, Richie, myself, and Marty. So, Jory, where do you want to start? So, Richie, let's keep going with you then. So when you say how do you fix it, what would be a question you'd throw to Jory? Because we talked on Monday about the basics of inflammation. You understand it. You know all about it. What would be some questions you would ask, a resident dietitian or performance expert, say, how do I manage my inflammation? Richie.
I mean, that would be the direct question. I mean, so to keep it general, so if I want to get specific, what food should I be eating immediately following the workout? How much? Because it seems to me like that has a lot of weight. Like if you're waiting 3 hours after an intense workout and you don't eat, that's when I find myself more sore and with delayed, soreness. Is that what should that periodicity be? And then what exactly should I be fueling my body with to reduce that inflammation?
Well, real quick, and before Jory gives us a bunch of wonderful stuff, I just wanted Richie to remember we had a conversation about removing processed foods because you could do exactly what Jory's saying to reduce inflammation and then go still be fucking crushing pizza and shit that's going to create inflammation, and all of her hard work and following her advice is going to be compromised. So removing some of that processed food and doing whatever she's going to say next is going to work far better.
There you go. That's right.
There you go. So nutrition-wise, there are things that are nutrition, and then other things that are going to support the nutrition for recovery. So when we start with nutrition, especially for high-performance athletes, there's the risk of overtraining. And overtraining is doing what you do and not having the proper recovery processes after. So one is going to be you need to get enough calories. And yes, we want the calories to be nutritious, but at the end of the day, if you're not getting enough fuel in the tank, even if you're using premium fuel, you're not going to get to your destination. So that's one of the things you need to do is make sure there's enough calories, because otherwise you're interrupting hormones, and hormones create either a joyful sound or you're gonna have some disruption. So enough calories at the right time. So if you have less than 24 hours to recover, within that first hour is really important. So a lot of high performing athletes, they train more than once a day. Right, so they've got their morning and their afternoon, or their afternoon and their evening. So there isn't 24 hours to recover. Some of the key nutrients that sometimes you need to supplement, and sometimes you can get it through food. So there might be a combination. Vitamin D, we call it a vitamin. It is a hormone, and that helps keep muscle soreness down. It helps regulation of overall hormones. So we need vitamin D. Usually,
okay, hold on a second. Okay, you may be going into it.
This is good.
How much?
So without knowing blood markers, and that's why anyone that works with high-level athletes or high-performing humans, we track blood work annually at the very least. If you're looking at pro athletes, it could be every 3-6 months, and sometimes in the NFL it's even much more than that. They're looking at things weekly, because if we look at inflammatory markers like CRP, then C-reactive protein, that's a marker, but it's so finicky and influential. So looking at that continually helps us know what your normal is, and if you're overtraining, things like that. So vitamin D, without knowing blood work, I would say a safe range is between 1,000 and 2,000 international units a day. There are people that will take 5,000, 10,000. It is fat soluble, so you want to take that with something that contains fat, so you absorb it. But taking 1,000, 2,000 international units a day is great. You can take it all at once in 1 week if you want to, but it's nice to spread it out. So vitamin D is one. The other one we know we've talked about before, omega-3s. And so that could be through your fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, those sort of things, or some other sources like walnuts, your chia seeds, hemp hearts, ground flaxseed. If you're not grinding the flaxseed, you're getting the fiber, which helps you poop. Great, but you're not getting the benefit of the omega-3s. So, and John knows that we want to poop for sure. And, things, right?
The flax seeds make sitting down and taking a dump a religious experience.
I love it. So omega-3s are really important. And of course, we know protein helps build and repair. I always talk to athletes, especially the young ones that I'm talking to. It's like, what do you do when you're working out? Whether you're dancing, you're cycling, you're running, you're swimming, whatever you're doing, you're breaking down muscle. That's what you're doing. So now you got to build and repair. So protein is important, but to fuel the tank, so that way you can have your next workout or continue in the office for your workday, you also need carbohydrates. And as John would say, not like crappy carbs, or whatever word you want to use, but you want good complex carbohydrates coming in. So the timing is important, hydration is important, but there's the mechanical piece. So the other piece that you want to start doing is other things outside of just nutrition. You want to do foam rolling, that helps release, right? Perhaps having a recovery training day. So what I mean by that is you don't have to just lay on your couch all day, but you want to do something that's more recovery. So it might be some not intensive, but yoga could be one, Tai Chi could be another. Just keeping the body moving to circulation. Those things help with circulation. That helps decrease inflammation.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. That's just nugget after nugget. And Rich, really what I was what you and I were talking about a few weeks back was what Jory talked about, was just using the quality carbohydrate. I mean, that's the main thing that I was kind of trying to pitch at you, is that if you got a more a carbohydrate that was easier for your body to work with, you'd get more out of it. That's really what you and I were talking about a few weeks back.
And Richie, ABC is jumping in with, I take berries, especially blueberries help a lot of managing inflammation. Morning, ABC. I invite you to subscribe to the channel. You're hanging out with Keith, Richie, Marty, Johnny, and Jory Janzen. Mornings live with Keith and friends. Richie, you got a question for Jory? You had a comment here, brother?
Oh my God. So so many things. So one,
I love it.
Sorry.
Personally, running, cardio, cycling, that's my thing. And because of this, specifically, I found a local place in Austin that will cook all my food, and so I'm on a protein heavy. I still have carbs, but what I found recently is that I'm so full that I'm not eating as much because I'm so full. I feel like I'm not getting the carbs that I need. So what kind of carbs specifically? And I do blueberries too. So for fruit, I normally do that in the morning, but throughout the day, I feel like I should be getting more carbs in. So what do you think? Potatoes?
Yeah, that's the big thing. I have athletes come to me and they give me their food records and they're all proud. And then I start like mentally calculating what they're getting in, and it's just not enough. I'm like, this is not a healthy meal plan for you. Like, what are you talking about? There's not even like my Reese's peanut butter cups in there. Like, what are you talking about? And so I'm like, well, it's fine. You've got quality fuel in the tank. It's just not enough. And so that's where we look at how do we add in without adding more volume, because there's no room for more food.
Right.
So let's say you're having, a smoothie bowl or something in the day, then you have to add in some simple carbs, but good ones too. So maybe some honey, which has some good bacteria in there for health. Maybe it's maple syrup. It's easier to digest than certain carbohydrates, but it's adding more calories in without adding more food volume in.
Okay.
And that's
Well, Richie, real quick on because I plenty of my clients will go from preparing their own food and then they'll hire service. And, from a standpoint of the numbers, it's basically identical, but all of a sudden they'll start to have digestion issues, even though macro, it looks the same, or it's supposed to be the same, but they're using something in their cooking process.
Yes.
I'm not saying this is you, but this is a possibility. They're using something in their cooking process that's not allowing your body to digest at the speed it could be. A lot of times they're using some sort of an oil to cook whatever protein source, which then is throwing your stomach a curveball. Like, what the fuck is this? Before it wasn't here. So just sometimes you got to really look a little deeper than the macros of what you're eating, especially if somebody else is preparing your food.
I can chime in here, Johnny, and tell you, Richie, I share that same experience. I was using a meal prep service for a while too, and all the macros were I thought were right, Richie. So I started asking some questions, Johnny, to your point, how they were cooking it, and I was like, oh,
yeah, that's why this shit's sitting in my stomach like a goddamn basketball.
Yeah, because you never want to point the finger because you always want to, but just if it's really important to you, we're going to do it ourselves, right? Because others take things for granted. Right. So it's like, how am I going to, I'm right. So there's not a right way to say it,
well,
but
the other part too is that you're used to eating certain foods and foods cooked in a certain way. Remember, we can train our gut and that takes time. It's like training for anything. It takes time. So it could be that, but you're also depending on someone else's counting. Like there's flaws, like chronometer and things like that. And absolutely, it's more than just macros. There's a whole nutrient profile, but it's timing, it's the amount at one time, it's foods that your body that you're used to digesting versus foods that you're not. If you're all of a sudden adding a ton more fiber, there's going to be some bloat and discomfort.
Yeah.
So it's a way of slowly moving. When I give a nutrition plan, I usually tell my clients, you're not starting everything at once. What's one meal or snack this week you're going to take from optimal to optimized? Get that right. Week 2, what's the next one? And I highly encourage that. No, you're not going to get to your destination real quick. However, it's better than not getting to your destination at all.
Right.
I love that.
Keith, do we have time? I have one other question.
Sure. Yeah.
It seems like there are a couple of things. These things always hit the market and they go viral and everybody's like, oh, this stuff works. So leg compression and ice baths. How efficient and do you think they really work? And then when would you use them?
So I should bring my biomechanist and physical prep guy on. But from what I've read, because I work with RWB, and so we're always looking at different ways to enhance performance. And so, yes, there's some research in terms of the cold water piece that it could possibly interrupt carbohydrate uptake. So if you need carbohydrate uptake to help support your recovery, you might need to time your nutrition out a little bit differently. But yes, there absolutely, the hot, cold baths thing does help in terms of inflammation management and help support recovery. But then you might be not getting what you need out of it if you haven't timed your nutrition to support what other modalities you're using. So just making sure that we're looking at that. I can send some, I forget who the researcher is. I have the study saved on my laptop folder, and I can send some research on that. But it's really interesting that possibly some of the uptake of glycogen might be impacted by cold water. So yes, it can be helpful, but then it might interfere with the nutrition uptake, which also then would impact recovery.
Okay.
Hey, you're here.
What about
Rich? Go ahead, Richie. Keep going, brother.
No, I was gonna say, what about leg compressions? Have you do you have any study on that? Because it seems like for that's really promoting that blood flow and expansion of your vessels and allowing filtering. So does that have an effect?
I know that in our physiology lab that we do use them, and you just have to make the time for it, right? You have to like actually sit there for a while, let your legs kind of blow up.
I used to use those too.
So I think that there are some impact. Compression stockings also can be helpful. It's all about using what you have access to. But if you don't have access to all the tools, then there's things like foam rolling that's relatively cheap, and you can do just some recovery time is just as important as the all-out efforts. Make sure you're building that in. Of course, we know sleep and hydration, nutrition techniques. So making sure that you're not low in anything, you're not overdoing anything, because that can also cause inflammation. Everyone is basically you have to personalize it for you.
That's so true. I mean, I love that because I always in my mind when I was working on figuring out my formulas for my different ventures, it's like a puzzle. You get pieces to fit together, but as you get multiple pieces fitting together, you start to see the picture. What is the picture? Is it your picture or is it somebody else's picture? Because you can get a puzzle together. Maybe it's supposed to be a picture of you smiling. Well, you get the thing mostly together, it's somebody else smiling because it was someone else's formula. Just those puzzle pieces were close enough you could get them to fit together. Doesn't mean it's your puzzle. So it's just, there's so much trial and error in this whole thing, Richie. And what you're talking like finite, like minuscule little things. There's going to be a level of trial and error for you, brother. I mean, because you're taking this to the like the max, which I love to see. Just be patient and keep working on it, brother.
I love it. I love Richie's questions because there's a lot of people out there that are on the same journey as Richie that are fine tuning. Right, and I always use the analogy of race cars, just fine tuning the lug nuts as they go around the track. Right. So, Jory, Johnny, a quick 1 minute question for you guys both. And Marty, you got to rock and roll here. Is the number one source of inflammation for all human beings very much caught up in just processed foods and sugar?
Lifestyle.
Yeah.
Lifestyle, sedentary lifestyle, alcohol, smoking, lack of foods high in antioxidants. So one of your listeners mentioned blueberries, but any of your deep blues, reds, vibrant colored veggies and fruit, those are going to help. So, and those are also expensive right now, right? So it's looking at what can you do versus what you can't do and really do that. Sometimes it's even mindset. I do know placebo effect works. So if you can't do certain things, you're missing out, do what you can. And that's going to be the most impactful for you. Do what you can.
Well, I love that the placebo effect works. Johnny, final comment from you on this one? Inflammation, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the average person, Jory hit it on the head. It's basically how much do they not move, so to speak, and what are they eating? If you take the word diet and you go back deep into where the origin of the word, the Latin language, it doesn't mean it's not about what you put in your mouth. It's how you live your life. Yeah.
There you go. Johnny Anderson dropping nuggets. Jory always dropping nuggets Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings in the lab. The protein break, physical fitness advice, nutrition advice to help you get through your day. Jory, thanks for hanging out as always and crushing some information with us.
Thanks, Jory.
I'm going to say one more thing, especially for you, Rich, is for blood markers, get testosterone checked because that is a huge thing. When that's low, and it can be in elite level athletes. I've had like 18-year-old athletes with like low testosterone, and that should not happen. Get that checked out. If that is low, that can be an indicative reason for having chronic inflammation. And also perhaps underfueling at certain points in your day. So I just wanted to throw that little nugget out there into the mix.
A good one.
And we talk about that a little bit more on Friday and then into any other discussions, but I just wanted to throw that out there. Sorry for dangling a carrot. But
that's a good one, Jory. Because dig into that on Friday. Hey, Richie, are you familiar with Inside Tracker in the United States? They do blood work?
I am, yeah.
So I've used
Inside blood work. My primary care, I get that done every year.
Yeah,
but
so
I've
used Inside Tracker as well. Maybe we can we'll talk with it off air here, but I've used them as well. I got like an affiliate account with them as well, actually. So maybe we'll sell some Inside Tracker stuff here at Mornings in the Lab, and we can do some biomarker blood work analysis. Because Johnny, you analyze blood work, hey Johnny? You do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you have someone that's serious enough,
Yeah.
looking at their blood, it's like looking under the hood. I mean, you can try to tune a car, and a lot of people they just want you to tune their car by the way it sounds and the way it performs, and you can make a lot of progress that way, especially for a person that's just making a lifestyle change from, eating terribly and sitting on their ass. But there's a certain point where someone like, okay, to really do this, to go further with this, we got to start looking under the hood and looking at the diagnostics of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden there's, because there's a level of guesswork up to that point, and it really makes it black and white once you're looking at the blood.
There you go. All right, guys. I know Jory's got a rock and roll. Marty, I know you got a rock and roll as well today, brother. You get going on here, pal. We'll talk to you throughout the day, pal.
Yep. We doing the show tomorrow?
Oh yeah, we're doing the show tomorrow. Yeah, you here tomorrow?
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll be here.
All right. Yeah, Marty. Take care, brother.
See y'all tomorrow, man.
Jory, have a good one. Good to
Have
see
a good day, brother. Thank you, Jory.
All right,
awesome.
thank you, Jory.
All right, we'll see you, Jory. All right, guys, we're coming up in the second hour. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. We're called Reloaded here. This is when Keith and Richie dance with our kilts on. I'm still waiting for kilt day, guys. I was, Johnny, a couple earlier this week, I thought about throwing on my robe and showing up on the robe here. We still got to do robe day. We got to do robe day.
You got to remember that when you dance, I pee.
Yes, you go for a pee. Richie and I are going to hang out. You get out of here, pal.
I got a pee too.
Okay, Rich is going for a P2 Nation. Just me and producer Jimmy press the buttons. Listen, in the first hour, we talked about what we're going to talk about in the second hour. And what we're going to talk about in the second hour is, what if you had the strength of, just like Ric Flair, woo! What if you had the strength of a superhero? Yeah. What if you had the strength of like Batman, or the strength of like Spider-Man, or the strength of like John Anderson? What would you do? How would you live your life? We're going to roll some video coming up in a number of minutes when John and Richie get back doing their thing. We're going to run a video from the What If channel, which is, what if you had the strength of a superhero? How would it impact your life? Would you lift more? Would you lift less? Would you sleep more? Would you sleep less? What the hell would you do with superhero strengths? We visited in the first hour with Donnie Raimon. Donnie Raimon's former Navy SEAL. Hung out with trained LeBron James, so I invite you to go back into hour one. Check that out. Jack Dugan, good morning, my friend. I see you there in the comments. Hope you're having a great week. Woo! Exactly. Ric Flair coming at you. Listen, I think we're going to talk some WWE stuff along the way, maybe some K-Fabi and so forth. But we got Johnny joining us. We got Richie joining us. All right, boys. We are going to continue the show with the three of us here. And I have a segment. It's called "What If You Had the Strength of a Superhero." And we're going to run that here in about a minute. I think we got to have Donnie Raimon back, boys, for I think an in-depth conversation about what that's like. In the world that he lived. That he's a pretty brilliant dude, man. Like, honestly,
has he written a book? Does he have a book?
I don't know. I hope he has, or he's smart.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he didn't. And if he didn't, he should have one. That's for sure.
Well, like in one of my mentors, he was in the first Delta selection. And he told me that those guys.
What is that? What is the first Delta selection? I don't know that. So I assume our viewers don't either.
Delta Force. When it came about, I guess it would have been in the 70s after Vietnam. And maybe I can't really remember. But Delta Force. I mean, that's the creme de la creme when you're talking about special operations. And so, all of these guys, they're very intelligent. But they're not only intelligent, but these are the guys that are just physically like true superheroes. I mean, they really wear capes, and so they're a direct action unit, and they work a lot with like SEAL Team 6 and stuff like that. But anyways, what he was telling me was that you kind of get persona non grata status when you start writing books about the ongoings and missions that you did within the unit.
What do you mean, Richie? Like you get disregarded? Like you're kind of like shunned?
Yeah, because he was telling me back then, like they made a pact that like, hey, they were not gonna it was get famous off this. So guys like Eric Haney was in that Delta selection, and he's written a couple books, and he's PNG. Apparently, I don't know.
PNG
meaning what? Persona non grata. Not welcome.
Okay.
And so I don't know if that's still a thing or not. So maybe that's maybe that's why some of these guys haven't written books.
Hey, Richie, can you explain something to Johnny and I? So maybe, Johnny, you know this. I don't. So I'm just going to ask the naive question, and I'll take my glasses off for this one. So we hear SEAL Team 6, SEAL Team 3, Delta Force, all these different like elites. So Richie, like, who is there like the elite of the elite? Like I always say, only one person can actually drive the car with the hands on the steering wheel and one on the gas pedal. You can have multiple, only one making a decision. What is the ultimate elite groups in the American military?
I would say Delta Force. So Combined Arms Group. It seems like they changed the name. And the reason is because, I mean, they take from all different services. So a lot of the track.
That's like the Pro Bowl. Yeah, it's like the Pro Bowl of football.
Yeah, so from Army, from Navy, is that what Delta's, Richie? So from all the disciplines?
You can now, whether people do that or not, because there's a lot of loyalty in special operations, right? So you'll have guys in Ranger Battalion. So Ranger Battalion is a direct action unit, right? Like they are direct action combat, whereas you have special forces, they're considered indirect. Like they go in and they train up these, locals to have guerrilla warfare, and so they do a lot of psychological stuff. So they're not necessarily like going in like, hey, we're going in, with a chainsaw, and so a lot of guys that are in Range Battalion, when they say they want to leave and go to Special Forces, it's like, they look at it maybe as disloyal. But Delta Force recruits a lot out of Ranger Battalion because Ranger Battalion works closely with Delta Force. So, for example, if Delta has an operation, well, they might, have a platoon of Rangers come with them that are setting up observation posts to provide, whether it's support by fire or direct fire, whatever it is, as they go in, because normally like Delta was set up as a hostage. So that's why SEAL Team 6 is similar, set up as a like snatch and grab type unit, right? We remember the Chuck Norris movies.
Yeah.
And so that's why SEAL Team 6, which is also known, and I don't know much about the SEALs, but it's like DevGru, right? Like that's their creme de la creme of the SEALs. So they're similar in that regard. But yeah, that Delta Force is the one. And a great book, the British guys, they have the SAS or I can't remember. But you have SBS, which is the boat guys. They do everything that the SAS does, but then they also do dive training and some more stuff. So those guys are similarly trained as Delta Force. So they're sometimes put on the same.
But in the hierarchy, Richie, if we're out in the theater, in the hierarchy, you're out in theater, and there's a bunch of guys. The one dude who's controlling it all is more than likely a Delta Force guy. I know I'm oversimplifying it, but I'm just.
So I will say this: I've never done any work with Delta Force, but one of my buddies said that regular Army guy, and they got notified that hey, there is a friendly element that's going to come in. You're in an area where there is a high value target that they're coming to get, and so you just need to stay where you're at and let them do their thing. And what he told me was that they came in and they just dominated. It was like they had been in that remote village of wherever the fuck they were at, Afghanistan, a million different times, rehearsed it, seen every.
Because they were you're saying because they were so informed, they knew exactly. They were so prepared.
They were so prepared, so efficient. It was boom, 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 bam, and out. He said they dominated the objective like anything he's ever fucking seen before. That's the difference.
That's pretty cool. So, and are those scenarios? And I know we're going to get into how, what if you had the strength of superpower? But this stuff really interests me, and I always find that if it interests Uncle Keith, I know it's going to interest Uncle Johnny over there. It's going to interest so it's always going to interest our audience here. But Richie, in those situations, like we're building camps somewhere in America where Delta's flying in, like they're building an actual replica of somewhere in the desert in maybe Arizona or desert in Nevada or desert in New Mexico. Like they're building like a replica of a village, and they're going to actually attack that replica. Is that happens? No.
I mean, I would assume so. Look, in the military, we have rock drills, and it's no different. It's no different than regular Army Delta. Like the planning process should be the same.
Yeah.
The difference is Delta's not going to skip a step, right? And so, it just depends on your time. How big is the operation? What is the risk involved? So we're going to come up with a plan. And a lot of times we do a table drill. Hey, we're going to go through the pieces. We're going to move the pieces. Now let's go outside. Let's do a rock drill. It's a much bigger area. Boom, boom, boom. Now, if we can, we can try and establish some kind of where we have buildings and stuff. I don't know what they do, but look, at the end of the day, do we have the resources to build a village to go get one guy? Because when you're talking about getting a high value target, you only have a small amount of time. We know that he's here, right?
Right.
He's not just going to be staying at one compound for 2 years and you have that amount of time to practice it. That's just not going to happen. But again, I wasn't part of Delta. That's just on what I've read and just in my experience. So
this just demonstrates, when you hear different phrases of, tomorrow's success is planned today. This is like the most extreme variation. Like Rich said, they came in and they were so fucking prepared. It was like nobody understood how they could do what they did because it was all in the preparation.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Yeah.
All right, you're hanging out with John, Keith, Richie, Rich Ingram, and we got Rick Kloete hanging out in the green and waiting for us coming up here in the bottom of the hour for the community corner. But before we do that, guys, Jimmy, let's get it rolling, my friend. What if you had the strength of a superhero? It's about a 4-minute video. We're going to explore what it would be like living with the strength of a superhero. Now, the funny thing is, producer Jimmy and Richie, Johnny lives like this every single day. Like, I'm a fucking superhero. Yeah, look at my muscles. And Richie's a superhero because Richie's only got one arm. So Uncle Keith here is learning what it's like to be a superhero because I'm actually hanging out, guys. Jimmy, we're actually hanging out with 2 real-time superheroes on the show here. So I'm feeling a little bit I don't know, just the little, what do you call me, Johnny? The little fucking nutty fellow? Well, I'm the little fucking
little nutty guy. Yeah, little nutty fella. But, check this out.
Yeah.
On that level, I would almost guarantee that, Rich and I, you referred to us as superheroes. I think we would both have our own version of basically what is it? We're willing to do what others won't. Yeah. And when you live your life that way, you separate yourself so quickly. Because what is a superhero? A superhero is someone who's extraordinary. And when you live your life in a way where you're doing shit that nobody else will do, you just keep separating yourself from the pack to the point where people view you as a different style of a creature. And that's, Richie, would you agree? You have some version of that in your mind. Look, I'm willing to do what everyone else won't. And that's what separates me.
Fucking 100%.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly, and I think to me, that's the whole idea of being a business athlete, right? Doing the stuff in business that others won't do, right? And Johnny, I'm just going to call it out. You met me, you're like, holy fuck, this guy's doing stuff that others aren't doing. And John, since you and I have been working together, how many other guys are showing up doing a morning show every single day? Nobody, right? So you and I are doing this, and Rich is showing up. We're doing this every single day because others are choosing not to. And you know what I love about this, Johnny? Every single day we do this, we're further ahead of somebody who's still thinking about it.
Yeah, it's reps, baby.
It is reps. And our friend Donnie Raimon talked about it, right? It's putting the reps in, right? So, all right, listen, out of respect for time, we got a 4-minute video here. We're going to drop it. What if you had the strength of a superhero? And then we're going to wrap up the show with Johnny and Richie. And then we're going to not wrap the show. We're going to wrap up the first 90 minutes and keep going with Community Corner with Rick Kloete and Sami Nordlund's coming up here in a few minutes. But Jimmy, let's do it, pal. Let's do it. Boom.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's you. Have you ever dreamed of being a superhero? What would your power be? More power? If you were just 3 times stronger than the world's strongest person, you could lift a compact car. What else could you do?
Richie John's like, yeah, I do that.
With superhuman strength,
I think you got to be more than 3 times stronger, though. I'll tell you that.
Is what if. And here's what would happen if you had the strength of a superhero. You might not have washboard abs or buns of steel, but you're a lot stronger than you think. Research shows that even during maximal exercise, the average human only uses about 60% of their total strength. Rigorous training enables professional athletes to tap into 80% of their strength. So if we've got the power, why can't we use it all at once? Because brain beats brawn. Your brain is the governor of your body. It's designed to keep you alive. Your brain sends pain through your body when you exert yourself as a signal not to push yourself too far.
Well, let me just jump in there real quick, and because just kind of going off of what this is saying is that when you're learning to tap into your strength, it's like it's like a practice. You get better and better and better at overriding that governor that's in your brain. And it's something that, you hear of, like the situations where a mother is trying to get their child out of a burning car or whatever, and she flips the thing over to get the kid out. Well, that's like a survival mechanism. You know what I mean? But in terms of a person developing strength, it's like you have to learn, you got to practice that neural pathway of that block, if you will. And you just learn to tap deeper and deeper into it. And I can say, like, after my strength career was over, I could noticeably feel the difference in my ability to tap into that deep shit. If you're not practicing it, you don't. I'm still a strong dude, but it's very different when you stop practicing that. Entering into that place in your mind.
Well, it's all relative, right, Johnny? Like you said, you're still a strong dude, but back when you were practicing it daily and religiously, Rich, you got to think it's similar to you when you're doing your endurance training, right? You get into a practice of it, it just happens naturally, but you step out of it, you lose some of that, hey, Johnny?
Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, for what I've really, tried to gain is that, okay, yes, I'm the practicing of strength, physical strength. I'm not practicing that, but I'm using my practice on other elements of my life. So I never lose my power of going into that place where I'll do what everyone else won't do, but I'm just transferring that power to other parts of my other goals, other ventures, different parts of my life.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it going here.
Your strength 100% of the time, you tear your muscles and break your bones. In fact, you might not even survive using your full strength. Why else do you think they call it a deadlift? The world record for deadlifting is 524 kilograms. And in extreme circumstances, ordinary people have hoisted cars to save someone trapped underneath. But what if you could do that without adrenaline? How would your life be different? First of all, your body would have to change drastically. Your bones and your muscles would need to be a lot more dense to accommodate your strength. And your bodily systems would have to change as well. One perk is that you'd get to eat more, healthily, that is.
So this I love, Johnny, because you talk about this all the time. You need to eat, and you need to eat to either get strong, or you need to eat to, I'm not going to say lose weight, to be lean. There's the difference, right? About having a body composition or being big, but you got to eat, Food Nation. You got to eat a lot of healthy food. And as Jory said, and Richie, Jory said even too, you're probably still not eating enough food. And Rich's like, yeah, but I'm full. You're probably not eating enough.
Yeah, I mean, you going into when you're eating like that, it's a mistake that a lot of strength athletes make, is they just eat, but they're eating in a way that doesn't help their mental clarity. And that mental clarity and that neuroplasticity is something that you've got to keep you got to keep that path clear as hell, and you've got to keep running deeper down that path to develop as a strength athlete.
That's interesting.
By superhuman energy. And your body gets energy by breaking down food into glucose and releasing it into the bloodstream. So your metabolism would be a lot higher. A full menu might easily be an entree, but you'd have to make smart choices to give your body the proper nutrients to fuel itself for the day. Pro tip, bananas are an excellent source of carbohydrates, potassium, and vitamin B6. You can rely on them to boost your energy, whether you're fighting crime or falling asleep at work. But what's the use of being healthy and in better shape if you can't leave the house? Think about it. Everything we interact with is designed for humans. Sorry, but you're a superhuman. With your strength, door handles would rip right off. Coffee mugs and wine glasses would shatter in your hand. And it wouldn't just be floors crumbling under your feet, but likely earth and concrete as well. Since you'd be exerting a lot more force over the same area occupied by a normal human, it would be hard, if not impossible, to interact with any object in our world without destroying it. You'd need special clothes and special shoes, but any attempt to pay for them with paper money would result in it shredding at your touch. And that's ignoring the even bigger question. Which bank is going to let someone in who can open the vault with their index finger? The other major thing to consider is pressure. Superhero movies tend to overlook this, but if they were real, something like this could never happen. Once you have superhuman strength, hopefully you'd remember that pressure is equal to force over area. And then maybe you'd look down at the palms of your hands and realize that you've got a lot of force distributed over not a lot of area. So what would really happen here? Due to the tremendous force being exerted over such a small area, the pressure would be so great that Superman would actually end up going right through the airplane. Not exactly the kind of rescue you were hoping for, is it? Superhuman strength isn't all it's cut out to be. Yeah, you might look cool, but life on Earth would be very difficult. And you'd end up doing more harm than good. Want big biceps and toned calves? Go to the gym, lift some weights, eat well, and stay in shape. But whether you call yourself brainy, brawny, or just plain average, remember that you're a lot stronger than you think you are. And that you can always be a hero just as you are.
There you go, nation. So what if you had strength like a superhero? Well, there you have it. You would have some problems in life, and one of them is you might be ripping off the door handles. Hey, Johnny, as you've been super strong motherfucker in your whole life, like just strong, have you found yourself in situations where you're like, oh, I'm actually, that's, I'm like a bull in a china shop, you know the old saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy when you get to that certain point, like, I would, like, my buddies would tell me I'm heavy-handed. Like I give somebody a slap on the shoulder, like, Jesus Christ, will you ease up? Sorry, fuck, I didn't mean. I was just showing some love here. Yeah. And it's a way of life. I mean, everything when you're in that mode, it's just, everything is just like Rich right now. Everything is about him figuring out how to create more endurance for what he does, and he's so immersed in that. It's nothing's going to get in the way of that, and he lives his life that way. So in when I was that way in strength, there was a lot of shit that have gotten my way and got broken accidentally.
Richie, comments?
I mean, fuck, I broke a lot of toilet seats, for Christ's sake.
You know what I've been finding, quite interesting. And Richie, Arc'teryx, the big, obviously outdoor lifestyle brand, Arc'teryx has launched an exoskeleton. Have you noticed that? Where they have some exoskeleton pants now, Johnny, Richie, where you can go and buy these pants to help you go trekking. So it's an exterior exoskeleton pants that give you external power in your legs so you can trek up a mountainside. On the market today.
Yeah, it's crazy what's coming about now. But I think if we simplify this whole drill for people watching, it's got to do with practice and repetition. And the people that develop this stuff, whether it's strength or endurance, whatever it is, they're willing to do the shit that other people won't. They're also willing to put in the reps. They're willing to be consistent. They're willing to, it all comes back to that. And when you practice anything enough, especially, most people have never committed to any one thing for any length of time. The way I see it is, unless you're north of 10 years of something, you're still north of 10 years is where you start to get good. Once you get 20 years into something, okay, you're at a different level. You've separated. So when you get 3 decades, you rarely meet someone who's done something, committed something for 30 fucking decades. And when you meet that person, it's a different creature.
It's a different creature. And that's what it was when I met Richie Ingram. That's what it was like when I met John Anderson, my two friends here. Mornings Live with Keith and friends. We're wrapping up the first 90. I know Richie's got to get on his day and Johnny's got to get on his day before we wrap up here. Richie, what do you got on the agenda today, pal? What are you training today, brother?
Man, so I'm still doing the bike, got some mobility work. I'm going to visit one of my buddies who apparently I grew up with. He's in Austin, Texas, owns a bookstore. So I'm going to do a little bit of interaction with people, and then I got to sleep, man. You know how it is.
Yeah, I did. Hey, did you hook up with Bryce Holmes yet?
Say again?
Did you guys hook up with Bryce?
No, so we did. We set up a meeting for next Friday.
Cool.
So I'm excited about that. Yeah, Keith linked me up with a guy local here to Austin, and so we're gonna get connected next week.
Beautiful, beautiful. Johnny, what do you got on the agenda today, brother?
Well, today is a straight up off day. And so we're actually, wife and I were traveling. We're going to, because we're traveling for Thanksgiving. So we're headed over to Pebble Beach / Carmel. My brother's at Pebble Beach. My mom's at Carmel.
Oh, nice.
And so looking forward to some family time. I got myself pretty fucking overtrained on purpose because I want to be so committed and present to my family time, which is basically today, tomorrow, Friday, and a little bit of Saturday. And that's one of the things I'm really, really been big on as I get older is I want to be more present in all levels with my family time on special occasions than I was the year before. And so training is not even a thought in these next couple of days. It's connecting.
Oh, I love that. I love that. All right. Good advice for thanks for everybody who's up heading towards Thanksgiving this weekend within our audience. Travel safe, be safe. And Johnny, we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Absolutely, brother. Come on. Hold on. Are
No,
you fucking kidding? You going to ask me that question, brother?
No, it wasn't a question. It was a statement. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Okay, good. I thought I was going to say that. Good. Okay, I'll retract my statement, you know?
He was like, are you and John going to be there tomorrow? I'm like, come on. Are me and John going to be there tomorrow? Me and John are going to be here until we die. So you're going to have to fucking drag Bilous and Johnny out. And I'm suspecting Richie's not far behind us, and I know Marty's not far behind us. So, nation, we ain't going anywhere. We'll be here 8 o'clock Eastern time. Rain, snow, shine, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, fucking World War III, whatever it is. We will be here helping you guys move forward in life. Guys.
I'll be in a hotel, so I can't always guarantee the connection, but we'll be there.
All right. Richie, get after it. Johnny, get after it. Have a good day, boys. We'll talk to you a little along the way.
You got it. Right on.
Cool. Okay, Jimmy, let's get these two cats off the stage. Don't bring anybody else up yet. Let's let them hang out. Wait. Yeah. There's Sami hanging out in the green room, Rick hanging out in the green room. Yes, guys, I can do this show by myself. Do you know that I had a show by myself before I invited my friends? Yeah, last year. It's called Mornings in the Lab. No, it was actually called Live in the Lab with Keith Bilous. You know why I started that show? Because I started that show because I needed an accountability partner. Who's that accountability partner? Myself and you guys. True story. So about a year and a half ago, somebody said, hey, you got to start a podcast. I don't want to start a fucking podcast. Podcasts happen every now and then. They happen in a closet. They show up. They don't show up. People come and go, and they never start. I'm like, I'm going to start a show. I'm going to start a show Monday to Friday, live in the lab. Keith Bilous is noon. And I did it all by myself. Had people come in. So me just talking to the camera, me talking to you, I'm used to that. True story. But this is not about me. Nope. Some days it is, but not that. This is my show. That's what I had a guest on the show last week. They're like, hey, the show is nothing like I thought it was going to be. Like, I know, because it's my show. It's not about you. No, you guys go to podcasts. Podcasts are about everybody else. They're boring and they're sleep. You can put you to sleep. You want to come be entertained? Come hang out with us. All right, Jimmy. You know how this works. Let's bring up Sami. Let's bring up Rick. I'm going to turn my attention right here. And we're going to do something here. What's going on, Sami?
How's it going?
What's going on, Rick Kloete?
Doing great, Keith. Great to be here, brother.
Good to have you both in the lab. I'm sorry that my friends had to leave. They had some obligations here, so we'll have to pass you guys through with Johnny and Richie and Marty on another show. But let's start with you, Sami. So, Sami, maybe it was last week or a week before, we might have celebrated you in the Creator Spotlight and surprised you with that whole acknowledgement. And how did that go for you? I think you were offline and you guys started getting notifications, right?
Yeah. I actually was I was gone. I had to take my mother-in-law to an appointment, actually. Oh.
No, I got you on the vertical here.
You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I had taken my mother-in-law to an appointment, actually, and I got back and saw the notification. I was like, what? So cool. So yeah, it was exciting to see. Very cool. I was honored.
Awesome. Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick minute to introduce our friend Sami Nordlund to the screen here. So, Jimmy, I'm putting Sami's gamma up on screen here. So let's get to know Sami. So Sami is all about personalized fitness journey with Sami Nordlund. You can achieve your fitness goals with customized plans tailored just for you. Listen, nation, life is very short. True story. Start with the journey. So about her, 5+ years as a personal trainer. She's an online fitness coach. She has faced gut issues, systematic bacterial infections, and chronic inflammation. She's learned these lessons along the way, and she's taken those lessons to help others with her health journey. Her whole health approach is sustainable, addressing inflammation. We talked inflammation on the show here earlier with Jory Janzen, getting rid of processed foods, getting rid of sugar, and making good decisions, proper nutrition, effective exercise. And the benefits of online coaching with Sami, comprehensive, it's wider, and you, of course, get a personalized approach with Sami Nordlund. So if you're looking for a personalized expert approach that's holistic, you might want to hang out with Sami Nordlund. But Sami, take a couple minutes, talk about yourself, tell Business Athlete Nation about Sami Nordlund and how they can hook up with you and why you're here, because we are going to take somebody in your orbit and celebrate them as well. But before we do that, let's get to know Sami a little bit. What's shaking, Sami? Where are you joining us from today?
So I'm from Bend, Oregon. Been here for, over 20 years. We moved here. I actually grew up in Salem, Oregon, but we lived in Central Oregon now for, 23 and a half years, I think, and absolutely love it here. But I was a stay-at-home mom for most of my boys' life, but ended up finally a little over 6 years ago, decided to go ahead and, figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And that was a personal trainer. And so it's just grown from there. And my experience has really come from a lot of personal experience. And so the way I help people now has really flowed from my own past experience and just wanting people to not have to deal with the things that I dealt with.
Gotcha. Good for you. That's awesome. So listen, let's, you have somebody that you want to celebrate today. So what we like to do in the community corner, of course, Nation, we celebrated Rick, we celebrated Sami, and what we do is we invite them to the stage to say, hey, who's in your orbit that we can celebrate and keep paying it forward? I love the idea of paying things forward. So Sami, you threw somebody to us, and who we might want to take a light and shine the light on today. And he's an AI expert, a LinkedIn strategist, a CEO speaker, author leveraging AI for business growth. He's the founder of Evie AI and Ajax Union. He's a single father of 5, passionate about networking and mentorship. So Sami, let's take a moment. Let's do this. Let's welcome to the stage somebody who we're going to celebrate Mornings Live. Jimmy, I got the LinkedIn going on here right now. But Sami Nordlund, let's take a moment to celebrate this guy right here with Joe Apfelbaum. Is that the right one, Sami?
Nope. Actually, I said Adam Peters. I was like, wait a second. That's not my guy. I don't know him.
Yeah, I got this one. I got a bunch of them on my screen here. So let's do this here. Yeah, let's do this one. Sorry about that. Oops. Let's do this here. I'm moving a lot of buttons here. So we're going to do this one here. We got Adam Peters today here. So Adam, empowering veterans through purpose and entrepreneurship. He's the host of the Strategic Veteran Podcast, Palm Bay, Florida, founder of the Stronghold Community. Sami, why are we celebrating Adam Peters, and why do we want to have Adam in the lab here to celebrate somebody else? Sami, talk about Adam Peters.
Yeah, the thing that I love about Adam is just his heart to help others. And so everything that he does is driven by his heart to help veterans be able to really come into their own after they have after they've retired, and really figure out what that looks like for them, because it is definitely challenging. And I just love his heart. He really, honestly, he just wants to help people, and that shines through in everything that he does and everything that he posts. So I think he definitely deserves to be celebrated.
How did you guys meet?
Honestly, we connected through LinkedIn. We ended up having like a virtual coffee, and we've just stayed connected ever since. And he has been one. We met a couple times. He's given me some pointers on certain things. And like I said, he's just one of those people that he just loves to help people, and that's just what he does. It flows so freely for him. So.
And as you can see here on our screen here, we got Adam Peters, a veteran, an entrepreneur, founded the Strategic Veteran. And what I love about this, Sami, is that we've had Richie, who's a veteran. We had Donnie Raimon, who's a veteran, on our show. We've had with Joseph Malone, a number of veterans on the show. And then, as we head into Thanksgiving weekend, it's just, I love the fact that we're celebrating these exceptional human beings. And Adam Peters is clearly one of them here. And, he talks about the challenges of veteran transition, right? Seeking purpose, career building, isolation, mental health. One thing, Sami, that struck you about Adam? One thing, honestly, like I said already, it's just his heart to help people. And it just, like I said, it shines through in everything that he does. He's so willing to just offer help without expecting anything in return. So. Yeah. So Adam Peters, on behalf of Sami Nordlund, we are celebrating you here today, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. And we would love to have you on the show, because I'm suspecting, good morning, Shelly Spence, I see you there. I'm suspecting, Adam, there's somebody in your orbit who you'd like to say, hey, we want to celebrate them and bring them to the stage so we can have you on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. So Adam, you come hang out with us, my friend, so we can get to know you, learn about you, congratulate you, and thank you for your service, and empower you and bring you into Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. So that's what we're going to do there. So, all right. So we got Sami locked up here. Sami celebrating Adam Peters. And so, Sami, Rick, I got to tell you guys something. So we keep expanding the show here in Community Corners, like our newer evolving segment. And it's funny because we are literally building the airplane as we fly. Never had two of you guys on Community Corner before. Never had done two Community Corner segments with two additional creators. So as myself and producer Jimmy are figuring this out on the fly, I appreciate your patience on this one.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Awesome. Sam, you're from Bend, Oregon, eh?
Yeah, love it here.
Yeah. Nicole Bernard, Bend, Oregon, I believe, is one of my first hosts here on the lab here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also in Bend, Oregon as well. So,
Very cool.
all right. So, Sami, can you stick around while we hang out with Rick and bring on the next person we're going to celebrate?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Rick Kloete's here now. Rick, what's shaking, Rick?
Man, I'm doing great, brother. Everything's good here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Dude, did I say your last name right?
I'm in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, but did I say your last name right? Kloete, right?
Kloete, man. It's Swiss of origin. I grew up in New Orleans.
There you go.
My grandmother was French. My dad was of Swiss origin.
There you go. Nashville, Tennessee. So, are you a hockey fan by any chance?
You know, I love the Predators, man. They turned the city into a hockey town.
Yeah, the Predators are in last place right now. My Winnipeg Jets are in first place, right?
Yeah. I knew you would get that in.
I just might be saying that, Sami and Rick, that my hockey team, because I've never grown up with my hockey team number one in the NHL, which they are right now, because Nashville's our interconference rival, and I just have to point that out. That
punching bag.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get to know Rick Nation. So we celebrated Rick a couple weeks back as well with in our creator spotlight, just like we did with Sami, which is how we got Rick on stage here today. So we created a gamma for Rick as well. So Rick's all about building futures one leader at a time. And meet Rick, a seasoned executive recruiter with 2 decades of experience. He's got just a little bit of professional expertise, Sami. Just a little bit. Executive recruiting, compensation. Sami, I think the guy's like 25. Like Rick's 25 with only 5 years of knowledge. So
yeah,
he's kind of balancing out there, right? Leadership development, career coaching. His current projects are he's an executive search, placing over 30 executives, not 31, Sami, just 30. Rick's like, no, I can only do 30. Nope, just 30. Compensation strategy. He advises HR professionals on attracting and retaining top talent. And Rick, we both know it's global talent now, right? It's not just where you live. It's global talent, right? Leadership training is all about that. And why Rick? I'm asking the same question. The guy's from Nashville. So I don't know why you'd hire Rick as well. He's a Predators fan. I would probably not hire Rick if he's from Nashville. Yeah. True story. No, I wouldn't. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would hire just joking, all kidding aside. We know that I'm a fanboy, I guess, here in the lab. You want to hire Rick because he's all about streamlined recruitment, industry versatility, hard to fill roles, guaranteed placements. The guy's just done a little bit. He's got an education, BS, and finance certifications. Current roles, president, managing partner at Kloete Group, and he's got some little bit of previous experience. And if you want to connect with the guy, you can find him on LinkedIn. You can find him on kloetegroup.com. But Rick, we got you here today because you have somebody you want to celebrate as well. But before we do that, take a quick second to tell Business Athlete Nation, what did I miss on this presentation about Rick Kloete today?
Man, I used to be a professional trumpet player, and I've got a career in sales and sales leadership. Yeah, my dad was a professional trumpet player. Got a couple of grandchildren. That's why I got my Pop shirt on.
Yeah.
So I'm real proud of that. Going to have a great Thanksgiving. Dude, I'm just so grateful for you and this community and what you guys bring it every day. So I grew up in New Orleans, moved to Tennessee 27 years ago. And you know what? I'm an overnight success after 2 decades of doing this recruiting thing. I just fell into it by accident. Yeah. Absolutely love it because really, like all of us, I'm in the relationship business. It's not recruiting, developing relationships.
Yes. Okay, so Rick is the guy. I'm looking on my notes here. Rick, you're the one who said we have to celebrate
Joe Apfelbaum.
That's right. How do you say his last name?
It's Joe Apfelbaum.
Joe Apfelbaum. Oops, there's the wrong one there. Hold on. Let's get it up. Oh, I love it. This is good. Fun here. There's Joe right there. So, Joe, I got the right one up here. The CEO of Evie AI LinkedIn trainer, business development training, BDB. How did you meet Joe, Rick?
You know what? I actually took a course from Joe. He's a LinkedIn guru. He's an AI automation specialist. Yeah. But I was his client. And now I've become his associate, his friend. He's my mentor. The guy, very much like what Sami said, that, in this world, there's givers and takers.
Yes.
Joe's a giver, man. He loves to help people. He goes above and beyond. You sign up for 1 or 2 courses. Next thing you know, he's trying to give you everything he has. He's just that kind of guy. And who doesn't like somebody like that?
Absolutely. And how did you guys, so you said you met through doing a course?
Yeah, I took a course on LinkedIn. I use Sales Navigator. So I've been on LinkedIn for 20-something years, since the beginning. But he's like a master guru trainer. So he knows the people in New York that work for LinkedIn. He's founded his own company. He's got several companies. This Evie AI tool that he is an AI automation tool you can use in conjunction with LinkedIn. And it's just transformed my business and productivity. And the guy's just amazing. He's a giver. He's a single father of 5. Was in training to be a rabbi, so he's a teacher by heart. And if you're around him, to know Joe is to love Joe. And everybody that knows him says exactly what I'm saying about him. You become a better person. You become more intelligent. He just loves to give what he has, and can recommend this guy any better.
Wow. So Joe Apfelbaum, a single father of 5, dude. You come hang out with us on the lab and you tell us about your morning routine. You come hang out with us and tell us about what you do every single day, because anybody who's a single father of 5 gets nothing but props and more props from me. That's a commitment, man, and a lot of celebration, because, guys, we're here creating a morning show for men. And if you're out there, listen, 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, 5 kids, single father of 5.
Yeah. Wow.
It's impressive. So, Joe, you know how it works. Rick celebrated you. We would love to have you here in the lab, because I'm suspecting, Sami, Rick, I bet you Joe's got somebody in his orbit. He's like, I want to celebrate them. Joe, we want to have you here on the show, just like Sami and Rick. Community Corner, bring you up here on stage and take the big old creator spotlight and shine it on you and somebody who you want to celebrate. Maybe one of your 5 kids. Joe, there you go. So, Lucy, I see you there as well. Lucy Hutchinson, I see you there in the comments. Thanks for joining us here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. Morning Lab, keeping friends on YouTube. We show up every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time. The only morning show in the lab in the world to get your ass out of bed. Sami, Thanksgiving's around the corner. What do you got going on this weekend?
Oh, we always go to my brother's on Thanksgiving. Tradition started ways back. Thanksgiving's at his house, Christmas Eve's at our house. So I take a bunch of stuff and we all head out. There's probably gonna be like 24 of us there. So Super fun. Yeah. We got a big family.
What do you got going on this weekend, Rick?
Man, everybody's coming to us. So I don't want to upstage Joe, but he's a single dad of 5. I have 6 kids. So it's like the Brady Bunch, but 4 girls and 2 boys. So we're cooking up some great food. I love to cook. I love to eat. So I had to learn how to cook.
That's awesome. Jack Dugan, I see you there in the comments as well, guys. Listen, Sami, Rick, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me this morning.
Yeah, it was fun.
Great to be here.
Great to be here. Thanks for having us.
Sami, what do you got going on today? Like, what's going on today for you today?
Ooh, today is just more like online content creation, that kind of stuff. I have a webinar coming up, so I'm just making sure I'm all prepped and ready for that. But it is a deload day for me, so no workout today. So just so it's your Wednesday kind of like rest and recovery day for you?
Usually Wednesdays is, I'm having a couple days of deload because I started a program about 13 weeks ago.
Okay.
And so, yeah, just having a little bit of a 3 deload days so I can just give my body a little time to rest. So
we're talking inflammation today. So you're there to overcome the inflammation, right? Before you head into Thanksgiving weekend and crush.
Yes, and amen.
So your physical fitness activities, Sami, lifting, cardio, mobility, where do you like to lean into mostly?
I am a strength girl through and through. So cardio is definitely a challenge for me, but I'm training right now for a Tough Mudder. So I have to have the cardio. I'm a big fan of balance though. I mean, I always like to work it in, but full on cardio is definitely a push for me.
So, Sami, take a minute to talk about the power of strength, especially as a female. I know a lot of females like, I don't want to get big. I don't want to get bulky. I don't want to get strong. My wife lifts every single day. She's a strong motherfucker, and I love how strong she is. It's sexy. It's attractive.
Yeah.
Talk about the power of strength for a woman, Sami, especially functionally as we get older. Because when I'm looking at Rick, Rick's hanging out with his Rick's 30 years old, hanging out with his grandchildren. He's wanting to age just like myself.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. I have a granddaughter. So
what?
I do.
She's got a grandchild, Rick.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. My first. So honestly, like my goal in life is to be able to be that crazy 95-year-old who's in the gym still lifting. Like I want to be able to be independent as long as I possibly can. And the only way that that's going to happen is if I continue to strengthen day after day after day. Do those things, do the hard things, get in the gym, make sure that everything is strengthened so that I'm not losing bone density, so that I'm not losing core strength, so that I'm not losing my balance, that kind of stuff. So strength is incredibly important. And I think that too many women avoid it because they don't want to get bulky, which is not going to happen. It's not going to happen unless you're taking something for that, or you're working out a gazillion hours a day and really like bulking up on the calories as well. So it's just not something that happens easily for women. So strength keeps you lean, it keeps you strong, and being able to functionally do all the things that you want to do with ease.
So
love that. And that's the key word, isn't it, Sammy? Functional,
Yeah.
right? Because at 80, you're not too worried about how much you could do on the bench. You're worried about being able to lift up your grandchildren, right, Rick?
Well, being able to just stand up from the floor on your own,
Yeah, yeah. Rick,
And
do you
Sammy-
have the same philosophy, Rick, as we're both, getting younger in life? I know I try to lift more than I did yesterday. You're all about functional training, aren't you, Rick?
Yeah, it's because of my job, I sit a lot at a computer.
Yes.
So stretching, walking, flexibility is a big thing for me right now. And Sammy, you know what grandchildren are, right? That's a reward for not killing your own child.
I love that. That's awesome.
Because I know you thought about it at least once or twice.
That's the reward.
I had 3 boys, and they were, So yes.
That's awesome. Rick, what do you got going on today, brother? And you talk about sitting often. So let's lean into that for a second, because there's a lot of guys listening to our show that sit often. What hacks do you have for somebody to go and get your ass up, go for a walk? Do you steal 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there?
You know what?
You get a nap.
You know what, Keith? Some of my best thinking happens on a walk.
Yes.
If I'm tired, it's counterintuitive. When you think you're tired and worn out, you think, well, I need more rest. No, I need to move my butt, because when I get my butt out the hut and out of this seat and start walking, some of my best creative ideas happen when I'm walking, just not even thinking about stuff. It's like my subconscious will say, hey, what about that? What about this? I'm like, wow, where did that come from? So stretching, flexibility, and I have somebody that helps me stretch. Because there's only so much you can do on your own.
Yes.
It's like in business and career and life, your spiritual life, whatever, you need coaches. That's what I like. That's why I like tuning into your show, man. You guys coach me every day and get me going, get that momentum. It's all about movement. If you stay still, if you don't keep moving, stagnation comes in.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be a person of value if you're not moving. And once you build that momentum, it's easier to steer a ship that's moving than one that's in the doldrums and stopped.
Isn't that true? Sammy, you see you leaning into that. You got 3 boys. And I know boys are moving all the time. So boys see mom moving. I got to think your family's a moving family.
It's interesting. They're not in the gym as much as I would like.
Okay.
Let's be honest about that one.
Yeah.
But they are definitely, you have a couple of them. So I have twins that are 25, almost 25. Sorry, they'll be 25 this weekend. And then I have a 21-year-old. And it's interesting to kind of see. So
you're not that old, so stop aging yourself.
I'm 48. Goodness gracious.
What's going on here? You're making me look like children.
So they definitely are. Like my youngest especially he's been the one who's tried to really get in the gym more. One of my twins, and then one of my twins is he's a little it's harder for him to get into the gym and really start working out. So it's been a hard thing. And I think a lot of that's personality for him. He definitely has, let's say he broke his collarbone in middle school when he was wrestling. And it was almost like it kind of shut him off from wanting to do any exercise after that. You know what I mean? So it's, and I didn't start training and until they were all in high school.
Yeah.
So I think, I've been active for a while, but really dug in when they were in high school. And so, some of that stuff is, it takes time to unlearn some, bad habits and things like that, or ways that, you used to see things, but they've definitely seen the change in me, and they've seen, what's happened in my life health-wise, as I've not just taken exercise seriously, but also nutrition. And so I know that has been, they always look to me for, hey mom, what do you think about this? Hey, how should I be doing this? So I know that seeds are planted in there. They'll get there. It just takes some time.
Yeah. How about you, Rick? With the children, the grandchildren, do they subscribe to, movement creates momentum, or are they still learning some of that as well?
Yeah. And I like what Sammy said about nutrition, because it all starts there.
Yeah.
I've been a person that's always I've had a fast metabolism my whole life, love to move. But what I've found is the older I get, the more I have to combine nutrition and recovery, sleep.
Yeah.
That's one of the things over the last year, my journey. That's one of the things Joe Apfelbaum talks about is, as he's gotten better physically, because we're not just physical beings. We have a spirit, we have emotions, we have a will. All that stuff's connected. You can't disconnect it. So when you feel good physically, and I'm moving and I have energy, then I have more to give, so I can be of value to those in my life. If I'm always drained and tired and exhausted, and as a mom, Sammy, it's a full-time job. There's no days off, right?
Yeah, no.
So you got to maintain that energy. But what I've learned is I used to think I was all about workout, strengthen, that kind of stuff. Now I'm going, recovery is just as important.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that rest, maybe even an afternoon nap. That's rare for me, but I like when I can get one. I love it.
So, I want to lean into that because we as we work towards wrapping up here, society, and we always poo-poo afternoon naps. Like, oh, Rick's having a nap, Sammy's having a nap. Yet you're quick to book a meeting with your lawyer. You're quick to book a meeting with your doctor. You're quick to book a meeting with your dentist. You're quick to book a meeting with everybody else except yourself. Right. Because why is Rick napping at 2:00 in the afternoon? He should be at a meeting right now. Well, hold on a second here. No, I'm going for a fucking nap today. I'm going to go take 30 minutes on the couch and put my head down.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well,
and
Keith,
to do that.
Yeah, some people are morning people, some people are night people.
Yeah,
I'm kind of both, but I suck after lunch, man. I do not book any important meetings at 1:00 because I know my biorhythm is I'm low at 1:00.
Yeah,
so I want to book the important stuff where I want to really get a lot done when I have energy, and for me that's after 3 or 4, and that's like from 5:30 to 9:30.
Yeah, Sammy, are you a napper?
Oh well, I'm a napper only if like my body really needs it, but I am definitely I've really come to learn the importance of rest and self-care. So for me, I don't necessarily nap a lot of times only because my body, it messes with my ability to sleep later.
Gotcha.
But if my body needs to rest, I am totally fine with going and laying down. But my body's been through a lot. And so I've learned to listen to it more and more. And that's the thing is people far too often don't take enough rest time. And that doesn't necessarily, for me, doesn't always mean like sleeping. But,
it's intentional rest. Difference.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what, Keith? If I could add something there, what I learned, Sammy, is about a 20-minute to 23-minute nap is perfect. Less is not enough, too much, and I have a hard time coming out of it. So really the length of that rest. And sometimes it's just like hitting the reboot button on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
I've got too much going on. My RAM is bogged down. I just need to reset, and then I come back strong.
Yeah.
I use Wednesdays. So as I've been building this business and putting in the, because anybody who talks about life being balanced is lying, especially when you're building a business. There's no such thing as balance. Something's going to be off balance. And so as I put in my 16, 18, 20-hour days, my Wednesdays are my midday weekend. I use Wednesdays as a rest recovery day. I did my endurance ride this morning. I'll do some post-production on the show. And then this afternoon, I got a date on the couch. Nice. Probably I guess Sammy now it's apparently a 23-minute date. So it's about a 23-minute date, nation. So you're going to find me around 2 or 3 o'clock Eastern time on a 23-minute date where I'm ignoring all of you so I can get that rest. And if I can influence others to get more rest, I hope we don't talk enough about it. We always poo-poo it. And we want to, encourage more people to get rest. But listen, it's the time of the show to wrap it up here. Sammy's got to get on our way, or Rick's got to get on our way, and I got to get back to. I got some post-production work here to do. So, Sammy, Rick, thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Thanks for having us. It was awesome.
This is fun. Will you guys come back in for a longer period of time?
Yes. Yeah, we'd love that.
Let's do it. We'll get you guys back for center stage. We'll talk morning routine. I want to know what your morning routine is, Sammy. Don't answer it. And I want to know what your morning routine is, Rick, because we're going to collect this big collection over time of what everybody's morning routines are. So, because we're the morning show for men, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Monday to Friday. You got myself, John Anderson over there, C. Marty Fit over there, Christina Flynn's over there, producer Jim is on the other side of the buttons. We got Rick Kloete joining us from Nashville. Don't hold it against him. Sorry, Rick.
Go Preds.
Yeah, go. No, go Jets, go. We got Sammy Nordlund joining us from Bend, Oregon. Woo. You guys have yourself an awesome day. They're here today to celebrate Adam Peters and Joe Apfelbaum. Those are our two creators. I got them right. We celebrated Sammy and Rick a couple weeks ago. And you guys have a great Thanksgiving, okay?
Yeah, you too.
See you, Sammy.
Nation, we'll see you guys. Dugan, we'll see you guys. Joe, we'll see you guys. We'll see you guys all tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll be here. Let's get out of here, Jimmy.